I remember the sound of the kettle more than anything else. It's strange what stays with you after all these years. Not the arguments, not the day everything fell apart, but that soft rising whistle in our small kitchen. The way steam would fog the window above the sink. I used to stand there early in the morning, before anyone else woke up, watching the first light slide across the backyard, listening to the quiet house breathe. Back then, I thought I understood what my life was. I was a husband. I was a father. I was tired most of the time, worried about bills, proud in the quiet way men sometimes are when they think they've built something steady. There was comfort in routine, packing lunches, tying small shoes, checking homework, kissing my wife on the cheek as she rushed out the door. If you had asked me then whether I was happy, I would have said yes without hesitation. But even in those calm mornings, there was sometimes a faint, unexplainable restlessness, like a low hum you only notice when the room is silent. I used to dismiss it as stress. Life is busy, people get tired. You don't question the foundations of your life just because of a feeling you can't name. Our son, I still hesitate at that word sometimes, was born on a rainy afternoon in late October. I remember the hospital room smelled faintly of antiseptic and coffee, and the sky outside was the color of wet cement. When they placed him in my arms, wrapped tightly in a striped blanket, I felt something open in my chest that I didn't know existed. He was small, warm, and impossibly fragile. His tiny fingers curled around mine with surprising strength. "Look," my wife whispered, her voice soft with exhaustion. "He's holding you already." I smiled, overwhelmed, afraid to move too quickly. I remember thinking that this was the moment my life had been building toward, that everything before was just preparation. We named him Daniel. Those first years were a blur of sleepless nights and quiet joys. I learned the rhythm of his breathing when he slept on my chest, the sound of his laugh when I bounced him in the air, the way he used to crawl toward the dog with determined curiosity. Sometimes I would watch him play on the living room floor, surrounded by plastic blocks, and feel a deep sense of peace settle over me. This is what it means, I thought. This is family. But there were small things, tiny details, that occasionally flickered through my mind like shadows at the edge of vision. Daniel had light brown hair that darkened as he grew older. My hair is almost black. His eyes were a pale grey blue, like winter sky, while both my wife and I have dark eyes. People would comment on how unusual it was. "Must be from somewhere in the family," they'd say with a smile. I never thought much of it. Genetics is complicated. Kids don't always look exactly like their parents. Still, once in a while, when I caught my reflection beside his in a mirror, I would feel a brief, confusing disconnect, like seeing two strangers standing side by side. I always pushed it away. Life moved forward. Birthdays came and went. First day of school. Soccer games where I stood on the sidelines shouting encouragement until my voice went hoarse. Nights spent helping him build science projects out of cardboard and glue. He called me Dad in that casual, unquestioning way children do, and every time I heard it, something inside me softened. My marriage, though, that was more complicated. There were arguments about money, about time, about the thousand small frustrations that accumulate when two people share a life. My wife, Laura, could be distant at times, retreating into herself in ways I didn't fully understand. Sometimes I would wake in the middle of the night and find her staring at the ceiling, eyes open in the dark. "Are you okay?" I'd whisper. "Just thinking," she would say, turning away. I told myself it was normal. Marriage isn't always easy. Years passed. Daniel grew taller, his voice deepening, his interests shifting from toy cars to video games and music. Watching him become his own person filled me with a quiet pride and a subtle ache. The awareness that time moves whether you're ready or not. Then came the day that changed everything. Daniel was 16 when he came home from school looking unsettled. He dropped his backpack by the door and stood in the hallway longer than usual, as if gathering courage. "Dad," he said, "can we talk?" I was at the kitchen table going through bills. Something in his tone made me look up immediately. "Of course," I said. "What's going on?" He sat down across from me, fingers fidgeting with the edge of a paper. "We did this project in biology," he said slowly, "about blood types." I nodded, waiting. "I asked Mom what mine was," he continued. "She said O positive." "That sounds right," I said, though I wasn't entirely sure. He hesitated. "What's yours?"
"A positive," I said. "And Mom's?" "B positive." He looked at me, eyes searching. "My teacher said 2 parents with those blood types can't have a child with O." For a moment, I didn't understand what he was implying. The words hung in the air like something foreign. "I'm sure there's some explanation," I said lightly. "Teachers don't always know every detail." But even as I spoke, a faint unease stirred in my chest. That evening, after Daniel went to his room, I mentioned it to Laura. She froze. It was subtle, just a slight pause as she was rinsing dishes, but I noticed. After so many years together, I could read the smallest shifts in her body language. "It's probably nothing," she said quickly, not meeting my eyes. "You know how kids get confused." I wanted to believe her, but that night, lying in bed, I couldn't sleep. The ceiling seemed closer than usual, pressing down with silent weight. I replayed the conversation over and over, trying to dismiss the growing knot in my stomach. The next day, I looked up blood type compatibility online. What I read made my heart pound. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. There could be rare exceptions, medical anomalies, errors in records. Still, a quiet voice inside me began whispering questions I wasn't ready to face. For weeks, I said nothing. Life continued as usual on the surface. Dinners, conversations, routines. But underneath, tension coiled tighter each day. I began noticing things I had ignored before. The way Laura avoided certain topics. The faint flicker of anxiety in her eyes when Daniel brought up family traits. Memories resurfaced. Moments that once seemed insignificant now felt loaded with new meaning. One evening, after Daniel went out with friends, I sat with Laura in the living room. The television murmured quietly in the background, casting shifting light across her face. "I think we should get a DNA test," I said. She went completely still. The silence stretched so long I could hear my own heartbeat. "Why would you say that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Because something doesn't add up," I said gently. "And I don't want doubts hanging over us." Her eyes filled with tears almost instantly. "I don't want to do that," she said. That was the moment something inside me cracked. "Laura," I said, my voice trembling despite my effort to stay calm. "Is there something you need to tell me?" She covered her face with her hands. The sound she made, a soft, broken sob, is something I will never forget. "I was going to tell you," she said through tears. I didn't know how." The room felt suddenly colder. "What are you saying?" I asked, though I already knew. She took a long, shaking breath. "Daniel isn't biologically yours." For a few seconds, the words didn't register. They floated somewhere outside me, unreal. Then they hit like a physical blow. I felt the air leave my lungs. "What?" I whispered. "It happened before he was born," she said, voice trembling. "We were going through a bad time. I made a mistake. I was terrified of losing you, so I told myself I'd never speak of it again." The world seemed to tilt. "All these years," I said slowly, "you let me believe." "I thought it didn't matter," she said desperately. "You love him. He loves you. I thought maybe it would never come up." Anger surged, sharp and overwhelming, followed by a deep, hollow grief. "Who?" I asked. She hesitated before answering. "A co-worker," she said quietly. It meant nothing. It ended immediately. I stood up, pacing the room, trying to breathe through the storm inside me. Images flashed through my mind. Daniel's first steps, birthday candles, school plays, now overlaid with a painful question. Was any of it real? "Does he know?" I asked. She shook her head. "No." I felt suddenly exhausted, as if the ground beneath my life had shifted, and I no longer knew where to stand. That night, I didn't sleep at all. Over the next days, I moved through life in a daze. Daniel would talk about school or friends, and I would nod, forcing myself to listen, while inside my thoughts churned relentlessly.
I looked at him differently, not with less love, but with a strange, aching awareness. Every familiar feature now carried new weight. Every memory felt fragile, like something that could shatter if I examined it too closely. I struggled with emotions I never imagined feeling: betrayal, confusion, guilt for even questioning my bond with him. Part of me wanted to run. Another part wanted to hold on tighter than ever. Eventually, I agreed to a DNA test. Waiting for the results was agonizing. Each day felt suspended in uncertainty. When the envelope finally arrived, my hands trembled as I opened it. I read the words slowly, hoping somehow they would say something different. They didn't. Probability of paternity, 0%. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the paper until the letters blurred. Laura stood nearby, silent, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered again and again. But apologies couldn't undo the years of secrecy. In the weeks that followed, we had countless conversations, some calm, many painful. We spoke about trust, about fear, about the choices that had led us here. Eventually, we told Daniel. That conversation was one of the hardest moments of my life. We sat together in the living room. My heart pounded as I tried to find the right words. "There's something important we need to talk about," I began. As we explained, his face shifted from confusion to shock. "So, you're not my real dad?" he asked, voice small. The question cut deeply. "I am your dad," I said firmly, my eyes meeting his. "I've always been your dad, but biologically, no." He looked down, processing. "Do you still want to be?" he asked quietly. In that moment, all my doubts fell away. "More than anything," I said, my voice breaking. He stood and wrapped his arms around me, holding on tightly. I felt his shoulders shaking. "I don't care about biology," he said. "You're my dad." I held him, overwhelmed by a surge of love so powerful, it brought tears to my eyes. Our relationship didn't change. If anything, it deepened. We spoke more openly than ever before. There was a new honesty between us, forged through shared vulnerability. My marriage, however, did not survive. The breach of trust was too profound. After months of trying, Laura and I eventually separated. It was painful,
but necessary. We remained civil for Daniel's sake, but the intimacy we once shared was gone. Years have passed since then. Daniel is grown now, independent, kind, thoughtful. We still talk regularly, sharing stories, laughing about small things. Sometimes we revisit the past, reflecting on how it shaped us. One evening not long ago, we sat together on my porch watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and gold. "Do you ever regret staying?" he asked quietly. I thought for a moment. "No," I said, "not for a second." He smiled. "You taught me what being a father means," he said. I felt a warmth spread through my chest, the same quiet pride I felt when he was small. Looking back, I realized that fatherhood isn't defined by DNA. It's built in everyday moments, in patience, in presence, in the willingness to love even when it's hard. The truth hurt deeply. It shattered illusions and forced me to confront parts of myself I didn't know existed. But it also revealed something enduring. Love chosen freely is stronger than love assumed. Sometimes, early in the morning, I still make tea and stand by the window, watching the light spill across the yard. The house is quieter now, filled with echoes of years gone by. And when I think of the life we shared, the laughter, the tears, the lessons learned, I feel a bittersweet peace. I raised a child who was not mine, and in doing so, I discovered that in all the ways that truly matter, he was.